So here's where we left off yesterday. So yesterday we pulled off all of the supercharger hardware, meaning the blower, the head unit, all the piping, brackets, etc., things like that. Today what we're gonna do is remove the rest of it and also work on getting the fuel pump voltage booster that's gonna be at the back of the car. Oh, and also the coolant reservoir. So the first thing I'm going to do, because this may take a while, is I'm going to drain the coolant, and for that there's just a valve at the side of the radiator. You can just undo that and it'll slowly drain out. Remember when you're doing that to open this cap, it'll help it drain a little bit faster. After that happens, I'm going to start working on doing the fuel pump booster while the coolant's draining, and then I'll come back to it and finish everything off. So let's get started with those. May need a wrench. Not a wrench. Here. And you shouldn't have to turn this out all the way for it to start draining, because it's going to drain out here instead of here. Just turn this until it starts flowing. Have your drain pan ready. Oh, and as mentioned, you gotta release the pressure here. And yep, there it goes. So I'm just going to let this go and start working on something else. Alright, so I'm going to now remove the fuel pump voltage booster from the car. In preparation for that, I've already reclined and moved the front seat all the way up as far as it'll go, just to give me as much room as possible. And I have some pry tools with me that's going to hopefully be enough to do the job. And I shouldn't have done that, because the first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the back seat, which is just two tabs that are under each seat. Yep. So there's one here. You can't see that. Where's my light? There's a tab here. You push it inwards and it'll release, and the same thing on the other side. Alright, so you can already kind of see what's going on here. This is the extension harness for the fuel pump voltage booster. This is where it will plug into OEM. So basically, this jumper, I don't really know what the proper word is this just intercepts the signal and just applies more power to it before it gets fed into an OEM pump. So basically, by removing that, what's going to happen is I'm going to unclip this, disconnect this, and then just plug this directly back into here, and it'll be back to stock. Okay, how do I get this off? I don't remember. This panel has to come off somehow. And then you can and I think you also have to remove this first. I'm gonna pull this trim off first. So get your hands under here and work out this first edge here, and then gently use that to release the rest of the trim. Okay. Now I'm going to go back inside and work this piece out. I'm going to start here from where I removed the seatbelt, and I'm going to go all the way down here. So, where's my light? So what I'm doing is I'm grabbing this and I'm just giving sharp tugs like that, and you'll feel it on the seat, and then you can move it along. And there it is. Yeah, so at this point it's pretty straightforward. I'm just going to unscrew this bolt. Originally you have to drill and tap this piece right here, and that should release this, and I'm just going to unplug it and put everything back together, and it'll be good, I think. Alright, so first I will unplug this, which is just a clip, and disconnect this also. Okay. Now I'm going to undo these two bolts here. They're 10mm. So these are not tapped like I remembered, and these are actually self-threading, so I guess this one just wasn't grabbing properly. That's fine. So I guess this is zip tied to a couple places now, so I'll need a cutter. One more, okay. There's a ground wire here, which hopefully is another 10. This will come out. This bolt, which I guess this is probably just exposed to the outside, which is why they get a little more corroded than the others. And what else is left? Just wiggle all the other components out little by little. Can't see what I'm doing, my bad. And here it is. Let's remove. So before I forget, I'm just going to remember to plug this back in. Okay. And replace this bolt. It's probably not a bad idea to put anti-seize on this before you run it down, but I'm never gonna take this apart again, so no big deal. Now at this point, if you want to do a sanity check, you can key on the car and see if the system primes, and you can hear that. And I have the key with me. No, I don't. So let me go ahead and see if I can hear that work. It's getting cold lately. So plugged in. Yep, everything looks fine. Yep, it seems to work, so we are all good. I'm going to put this back together and move on to the next piece. And it's hot. So now we only have a few more things to finish up here. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to disconnect the lower hose. And I'm sure there will be more coolant to come out from there, so I'm going to disconnect this and let this drain more. Remove this reservoir, which I'm sure, or hopefully is empty by now, and the PCB, the rest of the PCB system. So I'm going to go ahead and do that next. I'm actually gonna close the valve at the radiator side now and just drain the lower. Or not. Okay, good. Alright, great. Now the rest of the PCB. Oh, and one more piece of the vacuum system that I forgot to mention yesterday was there's also a line from the back, sorry, the back of the engine that comes off the manifold runner controls, and that also tees in and goes into the catch can. So don't forget about that one. I will remove the catch can next, which is, I think there's an Allen key here and a nut on the bottom, and I'm not going to remove the can itself, I'm just going to remove this bracket from the car. And the strut tower brace is fairly easy to take off. This is just the plastic clip. Just pull up on it, and 4 15mm nuts. And the torso for new triangles. This would Lastly, I'm going to remove this reservoir. It didn't hold here. Okay, I'm gonna that one. Okay. There's some kind of this over, and then fry it. So it's basically use this for your to away, then put these down sink for another. And what's left? Fuel injectors. Yeah, let's do that. Oh, this vacuum block is also Pro Charger supplied, so I'm gonna take that off. Okay, zip tie here and here. Yeah, and what this is this is the OEM vacuum block, meaning this is the primary or the easiest source of vacuum that you could use to, I don't know, pull information, feed, gauges, whatever. This is just an extension of that allows you to add more ports. And I think this used to go into the throttle body right here, but in this case, this just becomes a block that supplies the boost gauge and the blow-off valve. And where it used to go into the throttle body, it's also now capped off, as you can see. There's one here, and there's another cap. No, there's only one. Yeah, so it's capped off there. I'm going to cut this off and worry about it later. I'm going to just cut it off right here, so whoever's getting this next should have a lot more or plenty of line left. But I just don't want to risk damaging this plastic block right here, so I'm just gonna cut it off and deal with it later. Yes. Three logics. And finally, we're gonna wrap it up tonight by removing, and I guess I'll reinstall the original fuel injectors. And I just remembered that earlier today I just primed the fuel system, so you know, that should be fun. Here, and then to lock the whole bed. There are usually less. Right up to is do off and sculpture. Okay, so these injectors are really in there. What ended up releasing for me was I just took this extension and then I used the intake manifold runner to kind of leverage myself, and that ended up working for me. So I mean, I don't like doing this, but they're really stuck in there. Alright, so here's how these injectors come out of the box. So this is what came out of the cart. These are the DW95s, and you can see that this is actually in two pieces, because compared to a stock injector, which is over here, you can see there's a difference in length. So this spacer and this retainer that attaches to it kind of come together, and this is O-ring on the inside, and that these two pieces combined equals this, and this becomes a plug-and-play solution. These are just held on by retainers. I'm going to be reusing these. How you undo them is, it's pretty easy. It just, you grab all the way here, just slide it off. Easier said than done, I guess. Yeah, and then pull the injector straight up. Okay. Now repeat for the other ones. And you're gonna want to hold on to these, because actually as I'm going along, I'm going to install the stock injectors, and what I'm going to do is just because these seals are pretty dry, so I don't want to risk a leak if I could avoid it. But, oh, I have fuel. So this is just old fuel that I've had sitting around, so I'm just going to use this as lubricant. So slide the injector in like that. and use one of these clips. And actually now I see that the retainer only goes on one way. There's a notch here, so slide the retainer back on this way. Okay. There's one. Repeat going around everything. Alright, now with the stock fuel injectors installed again, I'm just going to immediately install this back into the car just because I want to minimize the amount of time the ports are exposed to the air. Just because I don't want stuff falling into the car. So and the process and we should also convenient. I think that's done it. I primed it a few times and it doesn't look like anything's leaking right now, so I'm going to call that good. And also, I'm going to call that a day. So, what do we do today? So, we uninstalled the Vortech booster pump, uninstalled the rest of the PCB system, and replaced the fuel injectors for the stock ones. Yeah. Now the only thing I have to do now is wait for all the stock parts to come in and put it back together, put a stock tune on it, and see if it works. I guess it very well may not work, so I don't know. We'll see. Oh, I'm also going to put all the foam covers and everything back on the fuel rails and put that back together as well. So, alright. I'm gonna do that and I'll catch you next time.